episode here on the Power Hour because we have a very, very special guest here with us in the studio today. I want to introduce my guest right away, just let you all know a little bit about him. Okay, our special guest today graduated from the University of Louisiana at Lafayette with a bachelor's degree with a concentration in pre-med and pre-law studies. While in college, he was the captain of the track and field team and a member of the Zeta Xi chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. After his undergraduate studies, he continued his education by enrolling in medical school at the University of South Florida's Mersani College of Medicine, where he focused on molecular medicine as well as interdisciplinary medical sciences. Also, he has completed medical research that highlighted hereditary deafness, basal cell melanoma, and adult stem cells at the University of Louisiana at Lafayette, Tulane Medical School, and the New Orleans Bioinnovations Company. His primary goal is to bridge the gap between fitness and healthcare. He currently owns both a personal training and a financial services company. I would like to extend a warm Power Hour welcome to Mr. Christopher Sandifer. How you doing, Chris?
Thank you.
All right. Well, welcome to the show, Chris. How are you doing today?
Great.
Good. Chris, on the Power Hour here, well, first and foremost, for all you out there listening in and tuning in on the live feed right now, we are broadcasting live in studio right now, so you can tune in live and look in and see myself and Christopher here as we are going through this interview. And if you are looking for that link and how to tune in, just go to facebook.com/the Power Hour USF. That's facebook.com/the Power Hour USF. So Chris, welcome, man. Glad to have you here. Chris and I have been in many discussions talking with each other and just trying to get this coordinated, and we finally got him here. So Chris, let's just start off. Let's just start by you just introducing yourself to the listeners and telling them a little bit about yourself.
All right. My name is Christopher Sandifer. I'm from a little small town called Lacombe, Louisiana. It's right outside of New Orleans.
The NO, huh?
Yeah, baby. Now, that's where I'm from. With the high school, I found Blue High School in Manville, Louisiana. Attended college over in Lafayette. And then also did some graduate work over at Mersani College of Med. Within, the medical sciences. A lot of stuff that I've done, has been geared towards, the ultimate goal of obtaining an MD, and practicing in the field of surgical dermatology.
Absolutely.
So that's pretty much the point that I'm at right now, man. And then also right now, I have the business stuff going on.
Right.
2 different businesses.
I
have literal ADD. I have ADD.
Okay. Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. All right.
But I believe in keeping your hands in multiple pots.
Okay.
It's almost like, when a person has a stock portfolio, sometimes you gotta diversify that portfolio.
Right. Gotcha. And you said you had 2 companies right now that you're running, and I mentioned it earlier in your introduction here. Now, the first one is a personal training company, correct?
That's correct.
Just give us, kind of how'd you get into that? What got you started with that business in particular?
Okay, so, as you said, while an undergraduate, I ran track. After undergraduate, I got a little more into my fitness level. Being that I wasn't running track anymore, I wanted to kind of bulk up some.
Right.
It got me a little more involved with fitness as a whole. And then, for me, I'm always trying to make money off of exploiting myself, essentially.
Okay.
I found that I had a niche for lifting weights, figuring out what things needed to be done in order to get the muscles to grow, in order to gain weight, and even started providing nutritional advice for individuals on getting them to lose weight, which ultimately turned into me running my own personal training business.
Right.
I worked at a studio over in New Orleans doing personal training, and from there I kind of branched into my own thing.
Gotcha. So when you first started this personal training business, now you said that it was, you wanted to make money, exploiting yourself. Just kind of when you first started, what were some of those things that, those initial startup phases that maybe some that kind of made you maybe hesitate a little bit and, kind of think like, oh, I'm not quite sure about this. In that beginning stages, were there some, difficulties or anything that popped up immediately as soon as you started?
Yeah, there were some things that popped up immediately. The very first thing was trying to figure out how to make myself unique and different from the competition.
Okay.
That was one challenge that posed itself, and then also figuring out the structure of the business. With any business, whether it's a single-owned business or it's a partnership, there needs to be some type of operational plan.
Okay.
Be it whether it's on paper or it's in your head, some type of operational plan saying, this is how I'm going to run this business. This is how I'm going to market this business. This is how I'm going to collect payments. This is how I'm going to keep the business going over time. Because at the end of the day, even when a business entity exists, it doesn't exist solely to make money for the company. It's for you to make money and for your well-being as well. And you kind of have to take that into account. No plan is a bad plan.
Right. Any day of the week. I always tell the listeners on here the 6 P's, which are proper prior planning prevents poor performance. And like you said, planning and having that operational plan in place is pivotal in regards to having this for the success of your business. That's great. Now, let the people know. So, I'm sure everybody's wondering, oh, he does personal training. Well, what kind of personal training does he do? So let the people know how they could, if they want to take get in touch with you or take a look at everything that you do. What's the, your contact information in regards to the personal training?
Absolutely. You can get with me on Facebook. The name of my Facebook page is Slim and Trim Fitness.
Okay.
It'll pop up. We'll be in the Tampa, Florida area. And then also you can get me on Instagram. And that's at Slim, the letter N, Trim Fit. Right.
Okay. So you got the Slim and Trim thing going, huh? Okay. I like that. Now, okay. So let's just recap. That's Facebook. Facebook is facebook.com/Slim and Trim Fitness. Right. And the Instagram is Slim and Trim Fit. Right. Okay. All right. So for everybody that's out there, hey, make sure you take a look. Now, you have a website too as well for that. Now, what's the web address?
The web address is www.4
Okay.
fitnesstraining.com.
Okay. So the 4 fitness training. I'm writing this down. I hope everyone out there is listening, writing this down too. That's the 4 fitnesstraining.com. Okay. So we now know how to get in contact. So anybody who's out there listening and heard just a little bit about what Chris is doing, make sure you go onto at least his website or his follow him on Instagram, like his page on Facebook, so that you can stay up to date with the latest information in regards to Chris. Now, you have another business too as well, Chris. And you told me that this one was started a little more recently. Now, this business is a financial services company. So not only do you do the personal training as an entrepreneur and business owner, but you also do the financial service aspect of it as well. So just kind of let us know a little bit about what the company does and just kind of how did you get into the financial services business?
Okay, so a little bit about the company. It's largely based on tax preparation, preparing individuals' taxes, and then also giving them information such as credit repair, possibility of choosing some stock options, mutual funds, 401ks, IRAs, those type of financial things that, whether a person had minimal amount of money to invest or if a person had a large amount of money, but basically teaching them how to have financial well-being based on their current financial situation. Because everybody's financial situation is different and that calls for different services and are different avenues by which for them to reach, whatever the ultimate goal may be, whether it's retirement or education for their kids and whatnot. The main reason why I started this business is because a while back, while in graduate school, I had some financial issues of my own, where I had to move back to Louisiana, save money, get it together, and come back.
Right. Oh, yeah. We've all been there. We've all been there before.
And having to do that and still wanting to focus on the ultimate goal. There's some individuals that are very much so process-oriented. They're worried about how quickly they get to a point or how fast it happens. There's individuals like myself that are product-oriented. We worry about the product, not the process. We don't mind the grind. We don't mind the pitfalls, the shortcomings, and the things that, we can't control sometimes. When it comes to education and getting educated as a whole, there's very much so a financial component involved with that. And, that time off and this time off is giving me the opportunity to create opportunities for myself.
Absolutely.
A lot of times individuals, even for me, I went you'll be applying for jobs and things of that nature. Individuals will see your resume and they consider you to be overqualified. They think that you won't stick around long and they may not even hire you.
Right.
You know, there's
been there before.
you know, absolutely.
Definitely been there before. Well, that's great. Now let everyone know what the name of the financial services company is. Tell us that. Let us know that information.
Absolutely. The name of my service is called Tampa Tax Stars. You could get more information via my website. It's at www.tampataxstars.com.
Okay. Gotcha.
And then also, you know, same thing with the Facebook, www.facebook.com/Tampa Tax Stars. And you'll find me on there as well.
Okay, so Tampa Tax Stars. So Christopher Sandifer, who's here with us live in the studio right now, if you're in need of some personal training or maybe getting some tax preparation or other financial services as well, be sure to contact him at either of his contact pages. Now, and I like it too that with your business, it's almost as if you almost have a model of, you have the business, you have your sites, because it sounds like you got the Facebook site as well for both. Now, when you're thinking about, the businesses that that you're going to work with, like, what is your initial plan? Like when you're first starting, because a lot of listeners who are out there, a lot of students who are here, they have these goals, and a lot of it is just about, you always hear that saying that, well, you just need to start, just need to start writing or start, do one paragraph. So what was your initial plan like when you decided I'm going to be, either a personal trainer or do financial services? What was your plan of action when you went into the venture?
Well, the very first step that you take towards before you start any business is you need to figure out what stands between now and you starting the business. If it's money, then you need to work, aka bootstrap, and save that money in order to be able to start that business.
Right.
If it's time, you need to take steps towards freeing up your schedule to open up time for yourself. Whatever that obstacle is that stands between you and starting that business, the very first step is acknowledging what that step is and, going towards accomplishing and getting that out of the way.
Right.
And then from there, you think about how you're going to structure the business. And then also, the key to any business too is figuring out how much do I have to put in, be it time or money, and when will I get a ROI? When will I get that return on investment?
Right.
When is that going to come back to me? 2-folds, 3-folds, 4-folds, or whatever it might be.
Okay.
And that's definitely the first steps.
Gotcha. Now, for those of you who are listening out there, in case you missed that, I hope everyone out there has their pens and papers out, because Chris is giving out some good knowledge here. Okay. Now, I just asked him about, what was his plan of action starting out? And the first point that he made, which I really like, was basically acknowledging what may be holding you back from starting that venture. Almost saying, hey, okay, I don't have enough money and I need to be honest with myself and look at your account, think about what all you need and say, okay, I do not have enough money. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And then work towards building up that money by ways of bootstrapping, as you mentioned. The second one was structuring the business, getting the proper business structure. Last week, we had Entrepreneurship Week, where we covered the 10 things to start a business. And that was actually number two. That was the number 2 step was, coming up with basically almost a business plan in a sense in regards to the structure of your business. And the third one I liked as well was where you said your ROI, which is, for those who don't know, which is the return on investment, and just basically mapping out, okay, by this date, I should have this much ROI, or by this date. I think those are just absolutely great points that everybody who's out here, listening to this right now needs to really, take a moment just to think about those different things, acknowledging what your setbacks are, building that certain structure, and making sure that, you really take the time to map out and plan when you're going to get your money back at the end of the day. That's what ROI stands for. Okay. Return on investment. In other words, when I'm gonna get my money back. Like that's really what ROI is. So, that's great, Chris. I love how you basically, because from what I'm hearing is that you were in school, you had a situation, and you had to basically, you felt that instead of, maybe working for others, you said, how can I create opportunities for myself? And now you not only have one company, which is a personal training company, but you also have 2 right now, which is a financial services company as well. I think that's great. Let's do this. What let the people know what would be, if there's one thing you want anyone who's out there thinking or considering about starting a business, what is that one nugget, that one piece of advice that you would want them to take home today? That one piece of advice, what is that?
You know, I have one piece of advice, and it's not just a business piece of advice, but it's a life piece of advice. And that's to say that you can live without any other individual in this world.
Okay.
You can live without certain friendships, you can live without certain situations, but you cannot live without you.
I
So
like
you
that.
need
I
to
like
make
that.
you the best you possibly can. And with that being said, it means to say don't allow anyone to deter you from what it is you say you want out of life. Don't allow someone's words to prevent your actions from being enacted and creating something great. Because at the end of the day, only you have the willpower and or choice to do something or not do something.
Right.
And you can't ever have success without some type of failure involved, without first initiating it, you know, and you only truly fail when you don't get back up and try again.
Gotcha. I like, and you're really reiterating so many points that other people who've been on this station have said the exact same things. And I've heard a saying that, the old saying, like, if you heard it enough, it must be true. Yeah. I mean, I actually believe in that saying because, you hear something more than once, you're like, you know what? If everybody keeps saying it, it must be right. And these are the people who are owning the successful businesses. They all say these basic same things that Chris just touched on these points. He basically said, make you the best you. Okay. Make sure you focus on yourself because you cannot live without yourself. He also said, don't allow others to stop you. Okay. Don't worry about what others are doing because this is your life. You control this. And he made that point is about you having the willpower. Okay. Having that willpower to make the decisions to do or don't do things. And the last point was that there's no success without failure. Just getting up and starting and just, not even thinking to yourself, well, what if? Well, how about we try and see what happens rather than trying to think about what if, just to see, well, what will happen, but that only starts once action has started. So I think those are great points. Hopefully, I'm telling you, people, you need to have your pens and papers out when you're listening to the Power Hour because there is nothing but good information coming out throughout the entire hour. Okay. Now, Chris, we have some listeners who wrote in. Okay. Now these are just questions that are just questions given by students that there's business questions in general that they had. So Michael had a question about running the business. He wanted to know, what is the most difficult thing about running a business?
The most difficult thing about running a business, I would have to say, I would say two things actually. Number one is scheduling, figuring out when it is that you're going to do something. But a lot of businesses, for instance, if you call a gym and you're interested in gym membership, or you call this place or that place trying to get information from them, a lot of times it takes them a while to call you back.
Okay.
And as a business owner, if you want to be truly successful and focused on customer satisfaction, you need to be reachable. You need to be able to be scheduled with, seen, and also heard. Because people can't purchase something from you, they can't invest in you if they don't know who you are.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, scheduling, you can't do business without talking with someone. Communication is a must. And when you're trying to make a transaction, purchasing a good or a product, service, whatever the case is. But I like how you also gave a good point about what, this is just a business tip about being reachable, being seen, being heard. I've always heard in sales that, let's say this, you've heard the old saying that closed mouths don't get fed. That's true in business. If you're not out being seen, being marketing yourself, getting your name out there, it's going to be a little difficult for you to have a successful business. So as Chris said, being reachable, being seen, or being heard is pivotal in the business. But to answer Michael's question, the most difficult thing, as you would put it, is scheduling at times because hey, you have a life, things are going on, and you're one person at this moment. I'm sure the company's going to be growing soon, so we're just speaking into existence. So we have another question here. All right. Now this question, Chris, is from Amy. Okay. Now Amy I actually like the way she worded this question. So Amy asked, when did you realize you could be successful in your business? Like when was that moment? I'm guessing she's asking. I'm not Amy, but I'm thinking that's what she's asking. Like, when was that moment that you said, you know what, I could actually do this?
You know what? It's funny because it was actually before the business was even started.
Okay.
It
All right.
was at the time of working for someone else.
Okay.
At a training studio, because that was the very first business that I started. And I'm looking at the structure of things, and I'm thinking to myself, man, you know what? I could do this too.
Right.
And a lot of times when people are working for someone, they don't even realize a large part of that individual's business, has to do with them as an individual.
Right.
And when you separate yourself as an individual from that business,
Mm-hmm.
and you just go through the motions of creating all the corporation stuff and lining all those things up, now you have a business.
Right.
But at the center of that business is the individual.
Mm-hmm.
And when I realized as an individual, like, hey, man, I can do that. That's when I knew it would be successful in business. It's one of those things too that a lot of people feel like you shouldn't go into a business, with numbers in mind or wondering when you're going to get your return on investment. That's bad advice.
Okay. Chris says that is bad advice. Okay. Now explain that a little further. Why do you say that's bad advice?
I believe it's bad advice, but you have to have in your head something pictured. You have to have something to shoot for.
Gotcha.
And going into something blindly and just saying, I'm just going to try to make the best of it.
Right.
You want to do your best, but at the same time, you want to know in your head, I'm going to go in, this is what I'm going to do.
Mm-hmm.
If things aren't working, I'm going to do a plan B.
Mm-hmm.
You're still kind of planning and having it in your head of the things you're going to do in order to be successful with that business.
Right. So, in that sense, it's almost like having a goal in mind as to where you see your business in, say, a week or a month, half a year, up to a year. And it's really, and I like how you said, having something pictured. You're going into it just, well, hey, I'm going to sell this product or this service, and that's that. I can see what you mean by that being bad advice, because it doesn't sound like you really have a direction or an actual goal or purpose as to what you're doing. And I personally have found it real difficult to be able to, sell yourself, the business, the ideals or whatever it is, without having a true purpose behind what you're doing. People like to work with people, but they also love to work with people with purpose. So I think that you made a great point there about that, about having something pictured as well. So, Chris, this is just a personal question from me. Now, when you started your business and everything was was starting out, you were starting to build some traction, was there ever a moment where you may have had an opportunity or something that popped up where you said to yourself, well, maybe I should pursue this, or let's put it this way, that, wow, this is a great opportunity, I might need to stop the business for right now? Has that ever happened to you where there was maybe something that you kind of considered, you thoroughly considered it? And if so, what was the thought process behind it? And if you didn't pursue it, or if you did, why did you, or why did you not?
Okay, so it was while the personal training business was starting to get a little more successful.
Okay.
And, a job offer is on the table of, running someone's personal training program, really trying to build it from the ground up, increase the sales, the volume, et cetera, et cetera. Mm-hmm. And for me, I had to stop and not only think about the business, but think about myself.
Mm-hmm.
And think to myself, if the ultimate goal was, medicine or whatever it might be down the line, then I needed to keep myself involved with things that I could pick up and move around with.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And that being a business.
Got you. Okay, well, wow. Thank you for answering that question for me. Now, Chris, not sure how often you listen to the show, but if you listen to the show, we have a certain thing called the 2:30 tune-up, okay? So for everyone listening out there, every Tuesday and Thursday at 2:30, we call ourselves the Power Hour, where passion meets success. And when you're getting that 2:30 feeling when you're sitting at work, just make sure you tune in to bullsradio.org so you can always listen to the 2:30 tune-up. We're here with Christopher Sandifer here live in the studio, and this is the Power Hour, where passion meets success. All right, so mics are off, but the thing is on. But I'm gonna cut it off once we like
I'm trying to anyway. That's you hard looking motherfucker. hood. 22 inch